678-1.
This is NBC Palm Springs.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Gino Lamont.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. Well, the fight against COVID-19 continues. The state of California is now playing catch up after a technical glitch resulted in hundreds of thousands of lost tests. And here in Riverside County, we're seeing case numbers fluctuate between 2 and 1,500 because of that glitch. Tonight, Russia claims to have the first coronavirus vaccine ready for the public. But is it effective? We'll take a look. That's coming up. Now to a different possible treatment for COVID-19. A new report says the FDA is nearing a decision to issue an emergency use authorization for convalescent plasma in the treatment of coronavirus. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Hospitals and doctors have been using the experimental therapy, but the authorization would now make it easier and more widespread. The report says supply is running low in the U.S. The Red Cross has seen hospital demand for convalescent plasma more than double.
We are depleting our COVID-19 plasma inventory faster than we can replace it.
Yeah, and the Red Cross has seen that hospital demand for coronavirus plasma go up, reducing supply by more than 70%.
Yeah, and although there is a shortage of convalescent plasma nationwide, the Coachella Valley is having, well, a different issue. Daytona Everett spoke with a man who says he's been trying to donate for weeks but can't get a call back. She joins us in studio with more on this. Daytona.
Gino, it's interesting because here in the Valley, our hospitals are apparently fully stocked with plasma, according to Livestream. The issue is they have so many people calling in, it's hard to keep up.
COVID-19 hit the McElroy family hard, infecting Matt and sending his mom, Janet, to the hospital.
They connected me to a doctor that works with the plasma. However, it never happened, and it didn't happen because they didn't have any.
This was about 6 weeks ago. Luckily, the two have recovered, but Matt felt the calling to roll up his sleeves.
Start looking into, how I can donate that convalescent plasma.
Plasma, the liquid portion of blood, is rich in proteins and antibodies, and it's been used to treat other outbreaks, including SARS, MERS, and Ebola. Only problem, Matt couldn't get a call back about donating.
I reached out to Eisenhower. I reached out to the Red Cross. I reached out to Livestream. I reached out to the Riverside County Public Health. It seemed like everybody kept directing me somewhere else.
We did our own research and landed on Livestream, the only collector of convalescent plasma in the Coachella Valley.
Hi, this is Daytona Everett.
That call connected us with CEO Dr. Rick Axelrod.
We actually have a department of 5 people that are working on this initiative. We are getting thousands of inquiries for this, and being able to handle that is a real challenge.
But even with that small team, Livestream has met the hospital's demand.
There's no shortage of it at all. We've been meeting 100% of the requests.
Still, Matt says progress can be made on the process.
There should be a little bit more of a clear direction on how to do that.
Qualifying to give plasma is extremely selective. 1 in 10 applicants actually get to donate. The best way to get in contact with Livestream is through their website. You can find that on our website, NBCPalmSprings.com. I'm Daytona Everett.
Yeah, and remember, if you have a story or a problem you'd like us to look into, email us, news@NBCPalmSprings.com. Remember, you ask, we investigate.
Now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers for Riverside County and the Coachella Valley. We're still seeing the effects of a state technical glitch in our local numbers. That should be resolved by the end of the week. 1,393 new cases were reported in the county, 266 of those from our valley. There were 4 new deaths reported in the county, but none from the valley.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
All right, taking a live look outside now, courtesy of our Agua Caliente Casino cam. Let's check in with NBC Palm Springs Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett, standing by with your AccuWeather forecast. Mike.
Gino, some beautiful blue skies out there and a lot less smoke from the apple fire. That's going to set us up for a beautiful opportunity to view some meteors tonight. The Perseid meteor shower is at its peak. If you go out tonight, especially in the middle of the night, I would say 4 a.m. is going to be prime time for this. Looks like the entire Southwest is going to see some clear skies there. Here's what's great about this one. This is one of the more active meteor showers that takes place during the year, between 30 to 60 per hour. It takes a little bit to train your eye out. Once you get out there, try and get away from some city lights if you can. The moon will be a little bit of an issue. It's going to rise just after midnight tonight, but it's in its waning crescent phase, so it's not going to be particularly bright. After you get your eyes adjusted and you get away from those city lights, it's a really great show if you're looking for something to do and you're not sleeping in the middle of the night. There's a suggestion. Take a look at Futurecast. We will see some cloud cover starting to creep up from the south. We've been talking about how the monsoon season has been non-existent so far. Well, this is Hurricane Elita. Elita is expected to move off into the Pacific. It's not going to be a harm to anybody and will become a tropical storm within the next 36 hours. But some cloud cover and some moisture from this system is going to train up into Southern California and into Arizona and bring some showers into Arizona and New Mexico, but possibly into Southern California as well. We'll talk about that coming up. If it does happen, it won't be until the second half of the week. In the meantime, we are tracking a day that's slightly above average. We were about 3 degrees above average today. Currently 109 at Palm Springs International. Light breeze currently coming in from the east-southeast. We'll switch around to the northwest later tonight. And humidity sitting at about 12%. It's about to get a lot warmer and a lot more humid. Elita is going to bring some moisture that will keep those overnight temperatures in the mid to upper 80s as we go through Thursday and Friday. We hit 116 on Friday, and that is the first day of yet another excessive heat watch. I've got some numbers and, more importantly, what comes behind it coming up.
All right, thank you, Mike. The apple fire now more than 50% contained. It burned about 33,000 acres. Crews have been able to slow the rate of progress. In fact, more than 1,000 firefighters have been sent home over the past couple of days, and 24-hour shifts are expected to stop tomorrow. All evacuation warnings have been lifted from both Riverside and San Bernardino counties. Full containment is expected by Monday.
On the national stage, we've all heard calls for law enforcement to do more to de-escalate situations. The Palm Springs Police Department says they've been doing this training for years. But what exactly is the training and how does it work? Our Kitty Alvarado got an exclusive inside look.
Victory is the most efficient and effective way to handle something, and glory is ego-based and self-serving.
Early Tuesday morning, 24 law enforcement officers from several departments went to class at the Palm Springs Police Department's training center. They're learning de-escalation.
De-escalation, the way we look at it, is it's an outcome and it's a goal.
Communication strategies for conflict is being taught by Glenn Haas, who has more than 3 decades of experience in law enforcement. This class is anything but old school.
The older way of thinking was have this stern, by the book, just the facts. But that's what got us here.
A major part of the class teaches officers that it's okay to connect with people on an emotional level.
You're not weak if you have empathy.
If people don't feel as though a police officer is just a robot or a machine, then we have better outcomes.
Lieutenant William Hutchinson, who oversees training with the Palm Springs Police Department, says de-escalation is critical and a part of dozens of hours of yearly training courses.
Any type of unsafe communication or bringing fuel to the fire is not only putting that officer at risk, they're putting their partners at risk, they're putting the agency at risk, they're putting the city at risk, and the community.
This strategy doesn't apply to all situations.
Somebody who is bent on harming an officer or a citizen, somebody who is already in the process of that, no matter what technique you have to engage the person in conversation, that's not the right tactic to use. You have to stop that threat in some way.
But even with those calls, Hutchinson says their numbers for 2019 show this training works.
Out of 70,000 calls for service at this police department, less than 1% result in any type of physical confrontation.
He says continuous training is key to good policing and better officers.
The police department's committed to excellence. It's committed to building trust within the communities. It's committed to always doing better.
Kitty Alvarado, NBC Palm Springs.
There's growing concern that changes to the Postal Service will create problems for mail-in voting come November. President Trump appointed longtime supporter and donor Louis DeJoy to head the Postal Service. In fact, he's the first Postmaster General in more than 20 years with no actual postal experience. DeJoy has implemented what he calls cost-saving measures like eliminating overtime and ending extra trips by carriers. But union reps say these moves are causing long nationwide delays.
We're not providing the service that we provided 24/7 before Mr. DeJoy was appointed the Postmaster General.
The new changes have Democrats worried that delayed mail could slow mail-in ballots, crucial in an election year that's being overshadowed by a pandemic. Major mail delays have also been reported in Minneapolis, North Carolina, Baltimore, and Philadelphia.
But the mail slowdown is worrisome for other reasons. Many small businesses rely on the Postal Service now for shipping. And some groups, like the VA, get their medication in the mail. Olivia Sandusky joins us live now with more on what she found about those local businesses who do rely on the Postal Service. Olivia.
Sarah, shipping has been considered the lifeblood for several of those companies here during the pandemic, whether they've moved fully online or they still have in-store services. And I did speak to a few here on El Paseo who told me they're looking to find some other alternatives to make sure their packages arrive on time.
Everything that we're doing right now is geared toward offering products online, curbside pickup.
This year, small businesses like House of Lolo on El Paseo have dealt with closures and restrictions, and now they're facing a new challenge.
So things are not right from a shipping perspective, and it's really, really critical to our business while we can't have as many clients in the store to be able to ship that on time.
Several shops have moved items online during the pandemic, but owners say not only are customers receiving shipments late through the United States Postal Service, store inventory has been set back as well.
Being on a website, it's very important to keep your product fresh and new things constantly going. So when we have nothing new to put on the website, it makes it a little complicated.
The Postmaster General cites operational changes, COVID-19, and financial losses as the reason behind the delays. And while the USPS is the leading delivery service for online purchases, they also handle a large amount of Social Security checks and medication. According to Connecting Vets, the majority of Veterans Affairs prescriptions are fulfilled by mail. And they've recently experienced delays around the country. Fortunately, the Palm Desert VA Clinic says their healthcare system has not received any veteran complaints from the Palm Springs area, and the VA always encourages veterans to order routine prescriptions in advance. But as for local business owners, they're seeking other alternatives.
We've actually changed who we're shipping with, who we're having our vendors ship with as well, to ensure that we get the packages there.
And the USPS says they are working to eliminate some of those delays. They also say if you have a package of particular importance, you can always request that tracking number. That way you'll know where it is and when it should arrive. Reporting live in Palm Desert, Olivia Sandusky, NBC Palm Springs.
All right, thank you, Olivia. Coming up after the break, we're going to be joined by NBC Palm Springs political analyst Hank Plant. He's here to discuss Senator Kamala Harris' choice by Joe Biden to be his vice president and how she made her way through California politics all the way to the national stage.
And first it was toilet paper, then hand sanitizer. Now there's a shortage of home office furniture. Industry experts say it goes beyond just a demand. There's another reason, and we'll take a look. Plus, the music world loses an icon. A longtime Coachella Valley resident has passed away. We're taking a look back at his life.
Joining us now to talk about Biden's selection for vice president is NBC Palm Springs political analyst Hank Plant. Hank, your initial gut reaction when you heard the announcement today?
Smart choice. She's a good politician. She knows how to woo a crowd. She knows how to charm the press. And to be honest, she's a better campaigner than Joe Biden. Very smart choice.
Yeah, let's talk about Senator Harris a little bit. Now, not really well known on the national stage. In fact, I just saw a recent poll, 32% approved, 34% disapproved, but the biggest number was actually nearly 40% that either heard of her but had no opinion or had never heard of her. So is part of the problem going to be the next 85 days introducing Kamala Harris to America?
No, it's actually a good thing because now it's a blank slate and she can really set the tone. She and the campaign can set the tone of who she is. I'll tell you who she is. I covered her since she was district attorney in San Francisco, and she is actually a moderate Democrat. Most of her career has been spent as a prosecutor, and yet this year she marched with Black Lives Matter and some of the other protest groups. And so she really is, I think, where the Democratic electorate is today. The Democratic Party has changed. It started happening 4 years ago when Bernie Sanders won 23 primaries, and she is where the Democratic Party is today.
Yeah, do you think this will help with the law and order argument for the Democrat side? Because right now the president is trying to paint all Democrats as the protesters, the rioters, the defund the police crowd. But because she was a prosecuting attorney, do you think this will help with the law and order crowd?
Yeah, absolutely. She was the state attorney general. Before that, the district attorney of San Francisco. Actually, a lot of progressives think that she was too tough on crime, which isn't bad going into an election.
Right. Now, there's a lot of talk that she's going to help fire up the base, but not the real Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren base. Are they excited about her?
Well, who knows? I mean, last time something like 10% of Bernie voters wound up voting for Trump because they were so resentful that Hillary got the nomination. Who knows about the Bernie people? I'll tell you the base that I think she will fire up. The most important constituency in the Democratic Party, Black voters. And Kamala Harris is the first woman of color on a major ticket. That is the hope that Democrats have.
Yeah, but it's also the first time a woman's been on a ticket that was ahead in the polls. If you recall, both Palin and the choice in '84, Ferraro, were put onto a ticket that was way behind in the polls at the time. Does that signify anything?
Well, it signifies that Biden is out in front of where he might have been in those other two examples that you mentioned. Biden is up 10 points in the polls. That's today's New York Times. And so I think this can only help him. Let me say that I think all of the women who Biden was considering, any of them would be a qualified vice president. But then it becomes process of elimination. And so I think that Harris checks all the boxes. And, this is interesting. I think this says a lot about Biden because Harris went after him in the debates, as you recall. And this shows that Biden doesn't hold grudges and that he can be open to people who are critical of him, unlike someone like Donald Trump.
Right. And plus, ironically, she was really good friends with his son, Beau, before he passed, yet she still attacked him, which just tells me that's a hardball politician willing to do what she thinks is right.
I got to tell you, my thoughts and prayers go out to Vice President Pence for that upcoming debate.
Let's talk a little
because she can be brutal, and maybe that's what's needed in this current political environment.
Maybe. Let's talk a little about California politics. Obviously, if Biden should win in November, they're going to need to replace Kamala Harris, and Dianne Feinstein's well into her 80s now. Could we be looking at 2 new senators in California, and who do you think the logical successors are?
I think the smart money would be on Becerra, the Attorney General. He was in Congress. Now he's the state Attorney General, highly respected, and he's Latino. It's about time that we had a Latino or Latina in the position of U.S. Senate. So I would be very surprised if it wasn't Becerra or someone with his credentials.
Somebody like Villaraigosa possibly on the short list?
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right. Hank Plant, NBC Palm Springs political analyst. Thank you as always, sir, for your expertise. We appreciate it.
Good to see you, Joe.
When we come back, Mike has a look at the forecast. He's standing by, working hard on it.
Indeed, Sarah. We're taking a live look right now, courtesy of our Agua Caliente Casino cam off towards the north and west tonight, seeing a lot less smoke from the apple fire and lots of blue sky. That's going to change as we go into the second half of the week. I'll tell you why when we come back. Welcome back. Yet another gorgeous live look. This one courtesy of our Walter Clark 111 cam. More of that blue sky out there. And again, still of a smoky haze sitting over top of the San Bernardinos and the Little San Bernardinos, but certainly much better than it was this time last week. Tracking some changes as we go into the second half of this week. I was telling you about them earlier. Let's elaborate. This is Hurricane Elita. Category 1 storm, but barely holding on to low Category 1 status. Is expected to have about another good 12 hours before it encounters some much much cooler water and some wind shear. Both of those things not friendly for hurricanes. And this will shear it across and then pull some upper level cloud cover across Southern California and allow some monsoonal flow that has been suppressed for most of the summer so far to come up into Arizona and New Mexico. We even see some shower chances here as we go towards the weekend. I'll tell you about that in a moment. This is Alita's projected path. Again, expected to lose Category 1 strength, head out into the Pacific. By the time we get to Saturday, it'll just be a post-tropical low. Doesn't look like it'll have any impact on the Hawaiian Islands, and more importantly, nothing for us or Mexico as well. It was a fairly benign day today. We saw temperatures that were close to average in the overnights. We touched down into the upper 70s. 78 is our 30-year average for this time of year. 110 was our official high today at Palm Springs International, 10 full degrees below the record of 120 set back in the 1930s. Take a look outside right now. Things are fairly mellow out there. 92 currently in the Yucca Valley. We've got some low to mid 70s up towards Big Bear. 109 in Coachella, 108 in Thousand Palms, and 103 in Desert Hot Springs. Wind, not that much of an issue right now. Seeing that afternoon switch around to the north and northwest, we'll expect things to pick up to about 20-25 miles an hour in our more wind-prone spots, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a particularly gusty evening out there. Here's what we are tracking as we go into midweek here. We will see temperatures that will crawl up slightly into that 112 to 114 range here in the Coachella Valley. And you're seeing lots of green here. We were talking about that monsoonal flow. Looks like starting Wednesday, Arizona is going to see some of that upper level moisture that will bring some scattered thunderstorms. And we will see some light shower activity along and off the coast there, basically from San Diego all the way out towards Santa Barbara, Channel Islands, and it looks like even Catalina will get some showers out of the deal. We'll see some cloud cover. You'll notice it's starting to increase late Wednesday. So about 24 hours from now, you'll see some of that high cloud cover, and that low level cloud cover looks like it's going to be a constant going into the weekend. Slight chance for some showers, and I'm talking sprinkles on Friday. A little bit more of a significant chance on Sunday. Looks like this is going to be the low that keeps on giving. Now, while that is happening in the upper elevations, we are tracking high pressure that's building. So while it becomes more humid in the lower elevations, it's also going to become hotter. It's going to be uncomfortable, to say the least. Dew points in the low 50s both Thursday and Friday are going to equate to about 15 to 20% humidity. It's that time of year. Here's what we're looking at as we go towards the weekend. An excessive heat watch and warnings are in place. It looks like that's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as we heat up. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. In the meantime, it's going to be one of those nights that's going to be slow to cool, and we'll start in the low 80s on Wednesday. Warm to 111 by 4 p.m., and it looks like 113 is going to be a very popular number from Palm Springs through Indio. Look for 103 in Joshua Tree, some low 80s in Big Bear, and 104 in Cabazon. Your Comfort Air 7-day forecast shows heat and humidity headed our way as we're going into the weekend. Looks like we'll peak close to 120 on Saturday, and those overnights are going to be in the upper 80s, tracking some slight cooling as we go towards next week, but still firmly in the 1-teens.
Well, first it was disinfectant wipes, which made sense, and then it was toilet paper, which nobody could explain, and now it's office furniture. Apparently there's a furniture shortage, and it's making it tough for folks to set up home office or classrooms. But it's not just a surge in demand for furniture creating the problem, it's because of a lack of raw materials from vendors.
all these raw materials are going to so many other places, whether it's the medical industry, it doesn't matter. They cannot get the raw materials to make product.
The materials are instead being used to make supplies like PPEs for hospitals. This has resulted in severe slowdown in ordering new stock.
People have been spending more on gaming than ever before. The MPD group says total spending rose 30% in the second quarter to more than $11.5 billion. The spending surge comes as much of the country was under some form of quarantine. MPD says sales of consoles such as Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 have also been strong.
An Israeli jeweler is hard at work making what may be the world's most expensive face mask. It's made of white gold and 3,600 black and white diamonds weighing over a half a pound. The jeweler says the customer, a Chinese billionaire, made 3 demands. It must be completed by the end of the year, it must be fitted with top-rated N99 filters, and it must be the most expensive mask in the world. And it probably is costing about $1.5 million, so mission accomplished.
I think that's the most expensive mask in the world. Almost all Blockbuster video rental stores have shut down except this one in Bend, Oregon. And now, for 1 weekend only, the store is being turned into an Airbnb. Starting Monday, you can book a one-night stay at the Bend Blockbuster on September 18th, 19th, or 20th. The store manager says this is her way of thanking the community for keeping business going. And the cost for a one-night stay? Just $4. That's the same price as a 3-night rental for a brand new movie release, which I had no idea, because when's the last time you rented a movie, Gino?
No, it's been a while. I'm pretty sure that place is haunted anyways. Coming up next, Democrats and Republicans exchange barbs on the Senate floor as they try to negotiate a new COVID-19 relief bill. But is there any progress being made? Answers after the break.
Congressman Raul Ruiz holds a virtual town hall with the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. He talked about ways small businesses can get the funding they need during the pandemic. He also said he hopes provisions from the HEROES Act are incorporated into the Senate's next bill to help at the state and local levels.
It's also important to discuss what next steps we need to do. The provisions that are there in the HEROES Act, which the House passed, and that I'm advocating for, and that we're hoping will be included in this next negotiated coronavirus relief package.
The Senate is back in session, working again to hash out a COVID relief bill.
Yeah, speaking of the Senate, they're back at work after failing to come to an agreement last week. Republicans and Democrats now just blaming each other for the stalemate. Senate leaders went head-to-head in their opening statements today.
Republicans wanted to reach an agreement everywhere we could and then continue to fight over the contested questions later.
Democrats offered to come down by $1 trillion. We asked our counterparts, Secretary Mnuchin, Mr. Meadows, to come up by $1 trillion, meet us in the middle. They said no.
President Trump did sign an executive order over the weekend to send Americans $400 a week of unemployment, partially paid for by the states. But what's not clear is whether or not the states can even afford to do that. Taking a live look now, courtesy of our Agua Caliente Casino cams. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Mike Everett, standing by with your AccuWeather forecast. Mike.
Gino, sky's clear and blue right now, but as we were leaving the studios after the shows last night, we saw these things out here. It's been a good long while since we've seen clouds, some altocumulus across the region last night, a precursor of more to come. In fact, monsoon season has basically been non-existent for us here in Southern California so far this summer. That's about to change. It's going to be aided by Hurricane Elita that is out in the Pacific right now. I'll give you some more information on that coming up. But this is the time of year where it gets warm and it gets humid, and we are definitely going to live up to the hype here. Putting Futurecast into motion, there's Elita coming into your frame right there, almost parallel with Baja right now. Expected to continue as a Category 1 storm, and then it's going to hit some cooler water and some wind shear. Not expected to be a hurricane after about another 24 hours or so. But what you can see is some of that high-level cloud cover that will come over top of the Coachella Valley and could manifest itself as some showers. In fact, we've got a couple opportunities. Nothing that I expect to be too meaningful, but could be some sprinkles here and the beginning of monsoon season. Meanwhile, in Arizona and New Mexico, they're getting ready for some more significant showers and storms. I'll give you a look at that coming up in the full forecast. In the meantime, it's a fairly nice day as August goes. We ran about 3 degrees above average today, currently 110 at Palm Springs International. Winds are calm. They've already made that switch around to the northwest. We'll pick up to about 20-25 miles an hour in our more wind-prone spots. And it's dry out there as well. We were about 11% humidity an hour ago. We've now dropped down to 7. Take a look at radar. It's clean and clear right now, but we do have an excessive heat watch that will kick in Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Still a few days away, but I want to give you an opportunity to prepare. Next 3 days definitely illustrate that. We're warming as we go into the weekend. Those overnights are going to be warm as well. We'll take a look at the whole story coming up.
All right, thank you, Mike. Coming up next in sports, you might have to start looking for a new way to spend your Saturday afternoons this fall as 2 Power 5 college football conferences announced they're not playing football, at least not in the fall. Will the others follow suit? We'll talk about that after the break. All right, time for a check on NBC Palm Springs sports headlines this afternoon. The Big Ten and the Pac-12 became the first so-called Power 5 conference to postpone their college football seasons. Now, while across the country, other college presidents, athletic directors, coaches, and players are huddling up trying to figure out a game plan, if you will, for how to play football in the fall with the ongoing threat of COVID-19 spread. Jay Gray has a closer look at where the season stands right now, or at least what's left of it.
Changing lead and cheering fans. For millions, college football kicks off fall. But right now, with concerns over COVID-19, the season is in jeopardy.
I think it's almost hour by hour of what is going to happen here.
This afternoon, both the Big Ten and Pac-12 announcing they're postponing all fall sports, joining the Mountain West and Mid-American conferences.
We didn't feel comfortable moving forward. The health, safety, and well-being of our student athletes and all those connected to Pac-12 sports has from day one been our top priority.
Still, a growing number of players and coaches say the games must go on. Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence, a Heisman Trophy contender and high-profile NFL prospect, is leading an online push to play, demanding the Power 5 conferences create universal mandated health and safety procedures to protect players.
We want to play. That's what we're here to do. That's what we love to do.
But several college football programs have already dealt with coronavirus outbreaks during summer workouts.
A huge variable that the remaining leagues will have is how those campuses react to students moving back on campus as there's an expected virus uptick.
The virus, an opponent right now that no one knows how to defend. Jay Gray, NBC News.
So it could be a long Saturday afternoon for us come the fall. That does it for sports. Mike's got weather coming up.
Gino, that's a hard pill to swallow. No college football in the fall. This is easy to take, though. We're tracking some beautiful blue skies out there and a lot less smoke from that apple fire. Tracking some changes as we go into the second half of the week, though, that are going to bring some more clouds up there when we come back. Welcome back. More blue skies. We bring you back in with our Walter Clark 111 cam. Traffic moving nicely. Sky is mostly blue. Still seeing some haze from the apple fire off towards the north and northwest. As I mentioned earlier, a significant improvement from what we saw even over the weekend there. Should continue to improve as we go over the next couple of days. But as I mentioned earlier, we're going to start to see some more cloud cover and humidity going up as we go into the weekend. It's to be expected. It's August here in the Southern California desert. This is Hurricane Idalita. As I was mentioning earlier, Category 1 one storm, but not expected to have much of a future. In fact, 24 hours from now, I expect the storm system to become a post-tropical low. This is what it's looking like, moving off towards the north and west there, and then will become post-tropical by the time it gets to Saturday. Not expected to have any impact on the Hawaiian Islands or on the west coast there. We'll throw back a little bit of swell into Southern California, but doesn't look like it's going to have any land impacts. Pretty nice day out there today. 110 was our official high at Palm Springs International, 3 degrees above average and nowhere near the record. 79 in the overnights. Yeah, we're going to be saying goodbye to that. It's going to be warm the next few nights. I'll show you that in a moment. Currently 91 in the Yucca Valley, 72 up in Big Bear, mid 80s out towards Idlewild, 107 in Thousand Palms, and some low 100s out towards 29 Palms. Wind not that much of an issue tonight. Made that switch around to the north and northwest, and we'll get breezy tonight, but 20-25 miles an hour in our more wind-prone spots, but not expecting anything super gusty. As we go into midweek here, we are tracking some big changes. You're seeing lots of green on the map. Out towards Arizona, expecting some scattered thunderstorms as that monsoonal moisture pulls up there. We will see that breeze that comes in from the east by day switching around to the northwest in the evening, and we won't see any of that shower activity. It will stay off and along the coast. We're talking about light sprinkles here in California, thunderstorm potential in Arizona. We have some sprinkle potential here. Looks like on Friday, those mid and upper level clouds could drop some light rain here. Looks like at this point, it'll be more down towards the Salton Sea. We'll fine-tune that as it gets closer. Another opportunity to see that on Sunday. As a result, you will be seeing dew points and relative humidity both rising. In fact, Thursday and Friday are going to be fairly uncomfortable. We'll be in the low 50s as far as dew points go, and that's going to put humidity in that 15 to 20% range. Beyond that, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're under an excessive heat watch that will probably be upgraded to a warning. It's already been upgraded out towards Arizona and towards the eastern end of Riverside County. Temperatures will be very slow to cool tonight. In fact, midnight, we're still in the low 90s. You know what that means. We're going to start in the low 80s as we go into Wednesday. Temperatures hit 111 by 4 p.m., and it looks like we'll all peak at about 113 from Indio through Palm Springs, 103 in Joshua Tree, some low 80s up towards Big Bear, and 96 in Anza. Your Comfort Air 7-day forecast shows more heat headed our way. It looks like it will peak on Saturday, and then we'll see some slight cooling as we go towards next week, but it looks like we're trapped in this place where we'll be teens by day, 80s by night.
He's a singer, a musician, actor, and a Coachella Valley icon. We're talking about Trini Lopez. Manny the Movie Guy sat down with him and his songwriting partner, Joe Chavira, to talk about a new project.
He made more than 80 albums, sold millions of copies, appeared in TV and movies, designed Gibson guitars, and even got a shout-out from the Golden Girls.
Hey, if you could buy a celebrity at an auction, I'd be showering every morning with Trini Lopez.
And sadly, the icon has passed away. I met the artist and Coachella Valley resident last year, along with his songwriting partner Joe Chavira, at the historic Club Trinidad.
I was born and raised in Dallas, and that's where I got my first person to try to help me with my career, Buddy Holly.
At what age? 15, right?
I was about 18.
18, okay.
17.
So, wow, you're like the Justin Bieber of the time. His affiliation with Buddy Holly paved the way to meeting Frank Sinatra, who released his chart-topping records.
And that's when I got all those hits.
Then Hollywood came calling with countless TV specials and roles in films like The Dirty Dozen.
Trini Lopez as Jimenez. He's crawling with hate.
Soon, the folk rock artist and guitarist moved to the Coachella Valley and even wrote a song about the desert. We are saddened to hear the passing of Trini Lopez. I met him last year before my birthday, and I will always remember the gregarious man who sang me a birthday song.
Happy birthday to you.
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm Manny the Movie Guy for NBC Palm Springs.
Okay. Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet.
But the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat.
To talk more about the death of Palm Springs resident Trini Lopez is longtime entertainment reporter Bruce Fessier. For those who are not our age and maybe have never heard the name or don't realize his place in music history, he was a significant force. I mean, the first Hispanic pop star, the first Hispanic and the first pop star to do Dylan music. I mean, tell us about some of his historical firsts.
Well, yeah. I mean, he crossed so many different borders. I mean, he was singing La Bamba before Richie Valens was. And, of course, Richie Valens' life story was turned into the movie La Bamba, with the soundtrack by Los Lobos. And he started singing R&B, and he was recording on the same label as James Brown. And then he started recording folk music. And he always had this hand clapping sound. And it created this extra rhythm. And he originally was discovered by Buddy Holly, and he actually auditioned for the Crickets after Buddy Holly died, and that didn't really work out, but he stayed friends with the guys. And he came to Los Angeles. He really wanted a solo career. He came to Los Angeles, and he infused his folk music with an electric guitar and the rhythm of his hand clapping, and it really was the first evolution of folk music into rock music. The Byrds get the credit, but Trini Lopez did it before the Byrds did.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Dave Grohl of Foo Fighters also have some influence from Trini Lopez, or at least his guitar, that Gibson sound?
Exactly. Trini created a signature guitar for Gibson, and it became a collector's item. Sting of the Police also has one of his guitars. In fact, I think he was probably making more money from his guitars for the last 20 years of his life than he was from his, he basically retired from recording and performing live in 1981. And after that, he just did it for fun. He did gigs around the world. He was always in demand. There was always people in far parts of the world who were asking him to come and play, and so he would do that, and he kept this fan base, but he didn't have the fan base in the United States, and he frankly didn't have that big of a fan base in the Coachella Valley to warrant him getting the fee that he thought he deserved at the McCallum Theater, so he never played the McCallum Theater.
Right. Can you tell us how he came to settle in Palm Springs?
Yeah, Sinatra discovered him, or actually it was Sinatra's manager, Bullets Durgam, discovered him playing in Los Angeles. And Sinatra's manager lived in Las Palmas and found him this house there. And he kept the same manager that Sinatra had for years, Bullets Durgam, until Bullets died in the 1980s. And Bullets is a guy who was a powerhouse in the music industry. He started out as a band boy for Glenn Miller. And so he was able to make Trini a lot of money and not force him to have to work and do the nostalgia circuit like so many other people.
Right, and we can't talk about Trini Lopez without talking about the trial and the headlines that he made. Actually, when I first started at this station, that was the big story for the first several months I worked here. What can you tell us about the trial and how that came out?
Well, that's a good question that only someone who's been around here as long as you have would know, and me. But yeah, he was dating a woman named Rose Mahata at the time, who was a very socially significant woman in this area, and she accused him of physically, I don't know if I would say abusing, but being physically inappropriate with her. And it went to trial, and it was basically, they charged him with a misdemeanor, and he was exonerated from it. But because of the charge, he never really, there was always suspicion about him, and it really hurt his social status in the Coachella Valley. But there was many years where you didn't see him performing at benefits, and you didn't see him just dropping in at nightclubs like he did before and after that. And he was always a very charitable guy. I mean, when I first got here, he was the grand marshal of Desert Circus Parade, and he did a lot of things with Sinatra. And then he just disappeared for many years because of that incident with Rose Mahata. And he always swore it didn't happen, but the stigma really hurt him for a long time.
Well, we lost another icon today. Bruce Fessier, thank you for your expertise, sir. I appreciate, as always, the history lesson.
All right, thanks, Gino.
Coming up, we revisit the top local stories, including a man who recovered from COVID-19, tried to donate plasma to help others in treatment, and was turned down. We found out why. Stay with us.
While some hospitals across the country are seeing a shortage of convalescent plasma, local hospitals have what they need, according to Lifestream. The only collector in the Coachella Valley of plasma, the liquid portion of blood, is rich in proteins and antibodies, which is being used to treat other outbreaks in the past, including SARS, MERS, and Ebola. And now it's being used to treat COVID-19. The only problem is some local residents are having a tough time getting in touch with Lifestream. They just want to try to donate some plasma.
We actually have a department of 5 people that are working on this initiative. We're getting thousands of inquiries for this, and being able to handle that is a real challenge.
Lifestream says the best way to get in contact with them is to fill out a form on their website.
Well, you know, the statistics are frightening. 1 in 10 Americans over the age of 65 will be diagnosed with Alzheimer's. What can a family do? Well, fortunately for us in the Coachella Valley, we have a wonderful resource in Alzheimer's Coachella Valley. And joining us is Deirdre Floyd, who will tell us a little bit about how they've adapted their programs in this new age of pandemics so that all of the individuals and families get the help and the resources they need. Welcome, Deirdre. So good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Sandy.
Thank you so much for all you're doing, because I know that obviously you had to reassess all of your programs. You had individuals coming in, you had a lot of family involvement, but now with everyone staying at home, things have changed. So tell me how you've kind of adapted and added Zoom technology to your resources.
Yeah, it was quite the challenge in the beginning when we just had to shut down. And the whole purpose behind Alzheimer's Coachella Valley and its various programs was to bring caregivers and their loved ones together in a safe environment. So now trying to get them out of their home, and now we have to shut down, keeps them housebound. So we had to really think hard. So when it became aware to us that we could use Zoom, that's when we developed our program. And as it goes right now, we do it every Tuesday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. And we have such a great participation, sometimes even better than we've had when the doors were open. And we do exercises, and then they do activities. Right now, we have lunch set up for every month till the end of the year. So it's been very, very gratifying to us, and the community has been wonderful. And most of all, we see the smiling faces of our caregivers and our loved ones.
Isn't that wonderful? Boy, that is just an amazing story of our community coming together. So many of those different organizations that have jumped on board to help. Because as I said in the intro, it really isn't just the individual, is it, Deirdre? It's the entire family that, of course, is affected by Alzheimer's. So what a great way to get family members involved in Zoom. And I bet you have people even out of the area that can connect with you now, which is so wonderful, people that aren't in the Valley.
That's correct. That was an added bonus, because when the summertime comes around, we do have a lot of people leave. So now, no matter where they are, they can join us. And to them, as I've explained it to us, it's a lifeline.
And gently rotate to the left shoulder.
We have the ability now to have speakers be on Zoom, providing information on a wide variety of resources, things like pharmaceuticals, in-home care, placement, benefits from the VA, Jewish Family Services, and then lifestyle things, exercises for both the body and the mind.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, my goodness, Deirdre. So many wonderful opportunities for families and individuals dealing with Alzheimer's. Just a great resource you continue to be. We appreciate you coming in. Many silver linings for our Valley indeed. Thank you so much, Deirdre.
Thank you so much.
lighter side of the news is brought to you by Holland RV, located off the I-10 at Washington.
A new survey shows some people would choose their pet over their significant other if they had to quarantine. Nearly 1,400 adult pet owners were polled, and when asked which companion to quarantine with, 44% of women chose their pet. Nearly half of the men chose their significant other. 83% said spending time with their pet improved their mood more than spending time with their significant other. Another study from the University of the Obvious.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
tough call.
honey.
QR code if you want anything from social media. See you at 11.